Welcome to Backstage 421, the musicians only podcast, with your host, author, and music lover, Charles Campbell. Charles will have an awesome array of guests from many genres of music, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. By the way, Ray Mattis is the composer of this awesome intro music.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Backstage 421, the musicians only podcast. I'm your host, small town horror author and music lover, Charles Campbell. And today I have a very special guest. He's a good friend of mine. Love him to death. He was on our horror podcast last year. Welcome, John Wayne Comunale.
Thanks, man. Hey, thanks for having me, dude. Good to see you. Good to talk. Always. How are you?
I'm doing great. Not as good as you, man. You've got all kinds of stuff going on. You've got new books coming out. You've got you're on constant tour, signing books here and there. So kind of fill in the audience a little bit about what you got going on right now, and bring us up to speed on John Wayne since the last time I talked to you.
Absolutely, dude. Well, like you said, I've been on tour constantly. I live in Las Vegas now, and which I did when I talked to you guys on the horror podcast. I think I had just moved. I just gotten here. So I've been here almost like a year and a half, right? Exactly right now. It's hot as hell, dude. It's so hot outside. It's insane. It's like, I grew up in Houston, so I know hot, but man, it's really hot. But anyway, I digress. I for those people who don't know me, my name is John Wayne. That's my first name. My dad's a weirdo, but here I am. I play in a punk rock band called John Wayne is Dead. I've played in a bunch of other bands, we're here to talk music today, of course. I can't wait to get into that. But I also am a horror author. I write like psychological horror novels. I have several things out there, and I have a few things coming out all here in a row starting in September. Cadillac Man, Charles is brandishing right there. That's about to get a brand new cover. You can't get it with that cover anymore. So collectors,
I'm gonna have to get another copy because this is, I've only read 2 of your books so far. Shame on me. I'm gonna read more.
Dude, come on. You're a busy man, dude. You're out there moving and shaking.
I would put this up against anything. This is an awesome fucking book. So
thanks so much, dude.
Yeah,
the Cadillac
go out there,
Man.
buy a copy. If I'm on the horror podcast, I go and give you a huge synopsis on it right now, but I digress. Like John Wayne just said, it's an awesome read, though. And it pulls you in very quickly.
Anyway. And if you're interested, like anyone can get all my info if you go to johnwayneisdead.com. All my shows are there, releases, all my books that are in my shop, plus links to everything I do, and of course links to the music, which is what we're gonna be talking about here as well. So. Yeah, but you can get all that and follow me at John Wayne is Dead. But we're going to talk. We're going to get into it here. I think we're going to start chopping.
Yeah. We're gonna start chopping it up. So, John Wayne, let's take it back to way back in the day when you were a young buck, a young lad coming up in life.
Yes.
Can you share with me how you got interested in becoming a musician? What were some of your influences to become a musician? And how did you put it all together and do what you do now? It's an amazing story, I'm sure.
Well, you'll be the judge of that, I'm sure. But no, it's kind of a funny story. I always was kind of enamored with performance, being performative, and doing like stupid plays and shit for my parents when I was a kid, like and lip syncing. Like I would. I got one of the weird Eat It, the Weird Al Yankovic tape.
Oh yeah.
And I would just
Michael
sing.
Jackson parody. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would sing along to that whole album, like top to bottom. And I'd call my mom in and be like, "Hey, mom, listen to me sing this song." And I'm just this little fucking kid singing along with the Weird Al tape, thinking it's cool. But when I saw the movie Back to the Future, and I watched like. That it's a movie, it's fiction, but when Marty McFly plays Johnny Be Good, I was like, I want to do that. So I had older cousins at the time, because I actually watched it at their house. So they were very much into hair metal. It was that time, that movie came out in 1985. So I remember them. They're a few years older than me. They were already rocking and rolling with Poison and all that kind of Motley Crue, that thing. But I was only on the ever on the like edges and the outskirts.
Class of '87. I know
There we
all
go.
about it. But go
Hell
ahead.
yeah, dude. But my mom was very protective. Shouts out, mom. I'm sure she'll listen to this. She's my biggest fan. She loves everything I do. But she knows she was very much protective. Like when we were younger, she was a little more religious than she is now. Whatever, it's
Right.
fine. But I was kind of always kept at arm's length from those things. But I got little exposure here and there with them. And then seeing like it's really stupid. But seeing that Johnny be good, I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar. And my mom said, like at that point, and we've already even discussed, we've gone down this road. She said, no, it's really hard. I tried to learn guitar when I was in college and it's really hard and it hurts your fingers and you're just going to quit. So no, we're not going to do guitar. And that was like when I was, 6 or 7 or something. Now, had I been started then, who knows? Maybe I would have quit, maybe I would have been like, this sucks. I quit and I never would have picked it up again. But then I go on and finally do pick up a guitar at 15, right before 16. And I'm getting super into like the third wave ska at the time and all the pop punk and stuff that was like, the beginning of that stuff. This is like early 90s right now. And I got a guitar and finally started learning. But the first guitar I got was because I wanted to play like rock and roll. I wanted to play Bush and all these fucking bands I was listening to at the time. And my dad gets me this classical acoustic guitar with nylon strings and everything.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I take it to my first guitar lesson and I tell the guy like what I want to do. And he's like, well, you need an electric guitar for that. This is a classical, like, and I was like, I didn't know the difference. I was just a kid. I was like, man, this sucks. So I made my dad, like, we took it back like to the pawn shop and swapped it out. And I got like a, super cheap Fender Squier Telecaster. And that was my first guitar. And I started learning on that and just couldn't wait to start performing once and putting things together. Once I started playing, but I took lessons for a little bit, and then I was like, "Fuck this! I'll learn myself." Are we allowed to say "fuck" on this?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just be you. It's cool.
Oh, cool. So yeah, then that's kind of how I got into it. But I did grew up as a theater kid. I did plays, speech tournaments, performances, all that kind of stuff. But being on stage and like being able to play a show, playing like a music with a band is such a different feeling and experience than being on stage doing a show, being like the lead in the play versus playing like 30 minutes with your band on stage at some bar is so much different. And I was like, man, I just love, and I would just go nuts. I used to like I said, I've played in every kind of band there is, probably like genre wise, but I would like jump around and like fucking just all kinds of stuff because I just love rocking out, I guess is like the best.
Well,
term.
I'm gonna jump in right here for a second.
Please.
Because I'm super jealous of you in this regard. Because and I've mentioned this to several of the musicians that have been on this podcast. My talent is writing, and I can write small town horror novels. One right after the other. And I like to go to book signings and I like to meet people, but I would like to one time feel the things that you guys on stage feel from a crowd that is into your music. Because when you're playing and it's good energy and those people are giving it back to you, every concert that I've been to that's been a great show, there's been some sucky ones, but the ones that have been great or really good, you see the commitment in the eyes of the players on stage, and you see that commitment right back from the people in the crowd. And to get that feeling and connection with people who are your fans and come out to see you, I would love to have that feeling at least once. That sounds amazing to me.
It yeah, like I said, it's very it's different than being on stage for anything else, like for acting or anything. At least for me. And there's times even when you're playing to like no one, or just the girlfriends are there or some shit. That happens a lot too. But it doesn't. If you're into it, you still play as if it's a packed house. At least like that. That's the mentality you're supposed to have. As a cliche, but you really should. Like if you love doing it, I mean, I would still jump around just as hard as I would if it was a lot of people versus no people, um, in those first days, and even and now as well. So
Well, tell me a little bit about the ska influences you had. You had my ears perk up there because my wife was a fan of ska in the early '90s, and the only exposure I really had to ska was early No Doubt, not later No Doubt, but early No Doubt when they had the horns and all the fun stuff. So, talk to me about your ska background a little bit and who influenced you in that area, if that makes sense.
okay, so that's almost kind of the same around that same time. Like you're talking about like when Tragic Kingdom came out, the No
Yeah,
Doubt
yeah, yeah,
record.
yeah. Right,
That was like their major breakthrough record. But they had a couple
right.
records before that were smaller. Um,
Which I listened to after the fact, but
right, right. I
yeah,
think that's everybody did.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
was into
yeah.
it. So it was them and Real Big Fish. Do you remember them
I
at
re-
all? I mean, the
I
Mighty Mighty
remember
Boss
the
Tones first, like they kind of like
yeah,
broke that
yeah, yeah,
bubble, broke through a little bit first, and kind of you're like, what is this? Do I like this? And then I got really into No Doubt because I loved Gwen Stefani, like with
oh
a
yeah,
big
who didn't?
bad, with a big bad passion. And
Yeah,
then when Real Big Fish put like that, they had a single called "Sell Out" that came on off their like major label debut album or whatever, and it was awesome. And I played the shit out of that record. Um, just like wore it out. So
right.
then from them it led to like Less Than Jake and Goldfinger, and I started like getting into kind of like the Warp Tour bands. I'm doing quotes. Is this video and audio
Yeah,
too? Yeah.
it's
Okay.
both.
People
It's
can
both.
watch it. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
some of you can see my air quotes, and by that, those bands that all of a sudden get on like the Warp Tour, there was just like tons of ska bands, small ones. The Aquabats, of course, were awesome, super. They're still great. But getting into it, it was No Doubt, and then Real Big Fish really pulled me uh, down hard, and that was like what's called third wave ska, kids, um, is what that time of ska music was called,
third
and is called
wave ska kids.
third
Okay,
wave ska. That's what it's called.
all right.
When all that stuff started coming up.
Yeah, I wrote that down, man. Yeah, when No Doubt came out, they hit me like a ton of bricks, a- and I've everyone who knows me knows that I love female leads anyway. And then when Gwen Stefani came on the scene with that really different voice, it's
Mm.
something people cannot mimic. Uh, I thought she was amazing, and I thought the whole band was amazing. But I digress.
Did you see them perform in those days?
Oh
Did
yeah,
you?
yeah. Well, I
Okay,
I
cool.
saw them on the Rocksteady tour. So no, not way back in the day. I got the DVD live in the Tragic Kingdom, so I could see it that way. They performed in I think it was L.A. in that
I
video.
took my prom date to it because it was like the Friday night before prom when I was in high school. So I went to the Tragic Kingdom tour, and then they played this huge festival in Dallas, maybe the summer or so after that.
Yeah,
And I forget what it was called, but it was at the Raceway. It was huge. Myself and several of my friends went, and No Doubt was one of the headliners. And we packed ourselves up at the very front for when they
oh yeah.
performed, and it's like Gwen Stefani like climbed the tower or some shit. It was nuts. So I got to see him a few times, but like after that, I kind of just was like, I don't know what's happening here. I'm not really too much into the newer stuff. So um,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
whatever.
stayed with the band pretty much until Gwen decided to do her own thing, and then I listened to that first album. And I was like, and then the rest of it for me. I'm not knocking Gwen Stefani. I'm sure there's millions of people who love it, but it just
She's
wasn't for me.
amazing. She's amazing,
Yeah,
talented. Just
yeah,
yes, the early
yes,
early No Doubt is where my heart is where she has my heart. So there.
exactly, exactly. Well, cool. I learned something new. Third wave ska. I'll have to go do some research on that.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right. So after ska, tell me about your punk phase.
Well, that
How
was
did
kind of where ska and punk were kind of
punk
all like
are kind of hand in hand? Kind
entwined.
of.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
getting into like, again through Warp Tour, like a lot of the
Yeah,
pop
yeah,
punk
yeah.
stuff.
Gotcha,
Blink
gotcha.
182,
Yeah, yeah.
of course, and I still love them. Like I love Alkaline Trio. Got them tattooed on me. I love all that shit. And you can yeah me all you want, dude. But um, they have their place. Like I saw Blink-182 at Fitzgerald's in Houston, which is now a parking lot. They've torn it down.
Oh man,
Historic punk club. Awesome. I got to play there several times, upstairs and downstairs. So, at least there was that. But it's gone. But I went to see them right when Travis Barker started playing with them. Like, we didn't even know that.
oh wow,
We were
you
like,
didn't know who he was at the time,
no,
right?
we were like, who is this guy? Where's the other dude? And it was awesome because they're just like we're just in a small place, like
Yeah,
at that time. But they got me into like MXPX, Big Wig. There was this band in Houston called 30 Foot Fall that actually just performed at some festival in Canada. So they're still doing some stuff now, but they were kind of like this like high energy punk band that also had this poppy feel to it.
right.
Another local band called Middle Finger was also like a punk, like with some ska stuff in there too, but more like punk with a pop feel to it. And I got to know those guys and then go into their shows. They were like legendary shows. These are like the cool ass local bands. We were just like,
Right.
everyone's going to see these guys at the time. And this was probably like, I'm like sophomore, junior in high school. And I'd mostly have to go like to Fitzgerald's by myself when I could drive because no one wanted to go see those bands with me.
Right.
That was friends with me. So I went to a bunch of shows by myself, just hanging out, trying to look cool by yourself, just smoking cigarettes because you can't buy beer or anything. You're just like, yeah, whatever, baby. Hey. But I saw a bunch of cool ass bands that way that were like, that's how I got introduced to Big Wig, they're from New Jersey. They're an awesome punk band that just toured all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So that, and then I got really into metal, also through a lot of local metal bands. And then I always played music. I was playing with my buddy Robert, and he's an amazing guitar player, amazing musician. And we started a band, and we were super into Tool, and we wanted to just have this hard, like heavy prog band. And we were very much we got into super into King Crimson and fucking everything that was hard and obscure. We were just in that phase, right? Where we were just like, yeah, this is what we listen to. And we started a band called Taint that was like that, like a melodic hard rock band. And we were trying to play in as many different time signatures and do weird stuff and, but still be heavy and all that kind of shit.
That's where you're cutting your teeth, right?
Yeah. Still cutting teeth there. Before that, I played in a punk rock band that's just in my garage, 2-piece called Penis Wrinkle Jones, which I still think is the best name for a band ever. Penis Wrinkle Jones.
Writing that down.
That's what we were called. We had like 3 songs. Me and my buddy Pat, he played drums and sang, and I played guitar and sang, and we just recorded them on the boombox in my garage. We never played anywhere though.
Oh man,
that was the first one.
I wish there was a recording out there. That would be awesome.
There's got to be a tape somewhere, like unless he just like burned them or something.
Oh, that's crazy.
But yeah, with Taint, we played for a while, and we had a couple different versions of the lineup, and we were like, we recorded at this professional studio, and got looked at by like little labels and stuff, but never got anything with that. We were too stupid anyway. But we played a fucking ton of shows. But after that, I started Letters to Voltron at some point, which was just an acoustic duo at first, because it was just stupid, funny songs on acoustic guitar with me. And then Robert, I got him into it, and we were just 2 guys playing stupid songs on the guitar, maybe a la like a Tenacious D thing, but maybe a little edgier, a little different. And then we decided to like add a drummer and keyboards and electric guitar, and it became like you can listen to it on Spotify. We have 2 albums on there that are just prog metal that are just very complex, like musically, but have the stupidest lyrics. Just like Pussy Machine is one of the songs. I'm gonna fuck you on the dance floor tonight is one of the songs. The Ballad of Tammy Faye Baker.
Those guys. I'm going to Spotify right after this podcast. I got to hear that stuff.
So, and we did that, and I played in another band called Harem Festival at the same time as Letters to Voltron. That was maybe more like of an accessible proggy rock. We were actually signed to an indie label in Houston. It was like the worst experience ever. Took forever to record this record, and as soon as it was done, I quit the band. I was like, I quit. Sorry. I was just so fucking done. And I was having way more fun with Letters to Voltron, and we were touring, and it was such a bad experience that it just kind of tanked that. And that's a poor story a lot of bands have. Like they go to the studio.
It's funny you say that. The last couple of musicians I've talked to, and a couple of these episodes haven't even aired yet, they used to have record labels and they didn't want them anymore. They were like, we'll go independent. We'll do it ourselves. We don't want to do this shit, jump through the hoops they want them to jump through without the return that they're looking for. And I don't know anything about the business of music. You would probably be more educated in that realm than I am. I've never produced an album or tried to put anything like that out, but I'm sure it's got to be very hindering to have to answer to a label on something you're trying to create. So I don't know.
Yeah, man, it all depends on who you work with and what's going on, and it's better just to do it yourself and then get distribution.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times, if you build your following, you don't even need that. You can just distribute yourself. So
right
these days. Sorry, or that could be just kicked off of YouTube.
No. You're
Said be yourself. I forgot.
You gotta be yourself, man. You gotta be yourself. It's for his cataracts, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm in Nevada. I just came from my dispensary, Oasis. Shouts out.
Shouts out. All right. Well, let's talk about the band aspect a little more. So you've kind of told me about your development, cutting teeth in bands. What are some of the things you really liked about being in a band and collaborating with other people? What were some fun times, some good things that you experienced doing that?
Well, for me, like, again, it was just something I always wanted from very young to be like, I want to rock out, but
right,
more than that, like that's like the synopsis. So just kind of like when you get together and you have the people and you're all creating something, there's that aspect of it, right? Like that it's like, I don't know, like an intangible kind of je ne sais quoi, like that energy that you're creating. And another thing for me was like I liked to surround myself with better players. Like everyone that I played in bands with, I would hands down say is a better player than me. But it made me a better player playing.
That's actually smart.
So, it was like, okay, I have to step up. At one point I took private lessons for a year, once a week from this guy, so that I could get my chops in theory up. And I told nobody. I was playing in 2 bands at the time, and I told nobody that I was taking these lessons, just because that was like my extra work. That was like the work that I had to put in, because I was like, homework. I have to step up. I'm in this band, we're doing this thing. I need to not only be practicing, but I need to get my chops up, to the level that I want it to be. And I want, somebody, nothing wrong with taking lessons, I just did it for a year, got a lot of information, got a lot of good habits, and then took it to the stage. Yeah.
Well, John Wayne, you were super creative, and I go back to your books, just the way your mind works, and especially reading Cadillac Man and Sinkhole. Those are the 2 books I read, but they were both really, really good. So I'm saying this to cross over into music. You're such a creative author. I want to know what goes into your process for writing music and putting music together. Do you follow a similar path that you do when you write books, or is it something completely different?
Well, I like to look at writing songs, like kind of writing a short little story. That's how I approach it. I don't know how that sound. I don't mean it to sound like corny, but like that's what it is. Like music and songs are storytelling in their own way. So, for instance, like now with John Wayne is Dead, the band that I play in right now, we're a 2-piece punk rock band, but all the themes that run through that music are, death, sadness, like, but the music is pretty upbeat. You know, it's kind of like a
Right.
poppy feel, a little bit of rockabilly, but it's all of that, and it's more emotional, more of an emotional theme. I very much am into concept albums. I love fucking concept records. Um, I was, you know, like we did it with Letters to Voltron. Um, you know, it was a lot of fun. I my like favorite one of my in my top 5 albums of all time is The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking by Roger Waters, which I know he's maybe said some questionable things lately or whatever, but that
Yeah,
record, have you heard that? Are you familiar with that album?
I am.
Dude, it's, I mean,
Yeah,
I have it on
it's a great
vinyl.
album.
It's
Yeah,
just this whole story all the way through, and it has
yeah,
not only is it's got just the musical themes that kind of come up, that it reminds me of when I was very young in music class, and they play the record where it's like Peter and the Wolf, and each
right.
instrument is like, this is the birds, and this instrument is the this, and this instrument is that. He does that on that record. When you hear certain things come up, you know, like, oh shit,
We're
this is
turning a
about
page.
it's about to
Yeah,
be this, like, it's about
yeah,
to be that.
yeah.
This character's coming back, and it
Yep.
was just, I've listened to it so many times and talked about it like ad nauseum. So I do approach music and writing music and creating music in a storytelling way. Now with like my current group, like I said, it's more uh, just this kind of like darkness, storytelling, of kind of like the grittiness of things, but uh, set in, I don't know, more of an upbeat setting. But it's still a story. Each song is a very
Yeah.
tiny chunk of a story there.
Well, I've seen little snippets of you doing, performances here and there. I don't know if they're like just pop up little performances that you do. And there was one I saw. I'm not sure if you were at a barber shop. I can't remember where you were, but you were like sitting in the middle of the floor just playing your guitar. And you brought up that rockabilly thing, and I was like, "Man, this is fucking amazing!" So I started sharing it with other people. And
Oh,
check out,
cool.
check out John Wayne. I mean, it's really good. I brought that up to say this. You brought up rockabilly. What were some? Do you have any rockabilly influences? Because you seem to be able to get down with that.
I have more country influence, I would say.
Okay.
Growing up, like my dad listened to country music, so like I'm talking like old, like outlaw country music, and
Yeah.
so every time, like any song that played in his truck during that time when I was like a kid, like I can play that on guitar. And Chris, like my drummer, and I, when we do cover shows, we play a bunch of old country songs super fast with our own little
Spin.
kind of
Yeah.
spin, yeah, our own little thing, zhuzh on it. Um, but that's where that comes from for me, because I don't particularly like. I can't say that there's like, yeah, I listen. You know, of course, I love rockabilly, and
Right.
um, but there was never any bands that I was like, yes, that's my,
I got you.
my
But I got
rockabilly
that. Yeah, I got that
band.
feel. I mean, the energy, and I mean, you were like moving your head, and your hair was flying back, and I was like, "Damn, this kid's getting it." So
Oh
I
yes,
really.
that's what I'm talking about, dude. I love to. If I'm playing, I'm gonna fucking play. You know what I mean? I'm not,
Oh yeah,
you know.
yeah. I
So
love to see people like that, man. So that's pretty awesome. And when you're talking about old country music, I can definitely relate to that. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she was the old country music fan. Like I'm talking Hank Williams Sr. way back in the day, Porter Wagner, those guys.
mhm, mhm.
Um, so and she liked that. And I don't know if you ever listen to this shit, but she liked that CB fucking 8-track CB songs about truck drivers.
The truck, like old Teddy, like Teddy Bear number 9
Yeah,
and all that
yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
shit.
She loved that shit, man.
That's like a genre in and amongst itself. Like that trucker, like I forget what it's
Yeah.
called, but it's
Oh,
called something.
you're
And my
right.
and there's tons of them, dude. And my buddy Nick P, if he's out there listening, he went through a phase of like trying to, every time we were driving somewhere, play all this like fucking trucker number 9 Teddy
Oh
Bear
my
bullshit. Like, and I was
god.
like, dude, these are all the same. You have to stop playing these. And I can't.
Dude, back in the day, like in the 70s when I was a kid and we'd stay at her house on the weekends, and she had this big ass it was a piece of furniture. The thing fucking flipped up and it had an 8-track player in it and an LP uh,
Uh-huh.
record player, and it had the radio, it had all that stuff. It was huge. Anyway, she gets suckered in on every damn ad on television for those 8-track tapes, and she'd be on the phone ordering those things, and we get those CB tapes in all the time. It was crazy.
Oh man, it's like Trucker Red or something like that. It's some guy is like
Breaker 19, Breaker 19, and then they would
come on in. Bring your
Yeah.
teddy bear back on the road.
Yeah,
Those. If you don't know what we're talking about, people, you didn't miss much, so don't worry about it.
It was funny though. It was funny.
It was. That's very funny.
Oh, but my grandmother loved that stuff, man. But
Shouts out, Grandma.
Shouts out, Grandma. R.I.P.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So tell me what's going on with John Wayne is Dead right now. What are you guys working on?
Dude. So we've actually been playing some shows lately, and we have more shows coming up because we have a new record coming out. We recorded.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
Let's talk about it. We recorded. So with John Wayne is Dead. Just for anybody that doesn't know, we're 2-piece punk rock band, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like kind of a Ramon style. Our songs are like 2 minutes long, 2.5. That's 2.5 is like an epic piece for us. Like, but they're just quick in and out poppy songs, right? With that kind of rockabilly edge to it. So we have 3 7-inch records out. We only put out vinyl, but we are on every streaming service and Bandcamp and all that stuff. We have 3 7-inch records out, and then we have one 12-inch record out called This Is a Record. And we have since recorded. I wanted there to be no room for error. No, I don't want to make a mistake. Like, This Is a Record. That's what it's called. And if you don't have a record player, you can listen to us on Spotify and stuff. Just search John Wayne is Dead, all one word, no spaces. But we had some interest from like a boutique indie label, and I went to Houston in November and went to stayed at my drummer's house for about a week and a half before I had to start. I think I was gonna after that do like 3 conventions in a row. Or something like that from there. So I went to Houston and we spent that like 7 or 8 days recording the new record there. And we recorded and engineered it in the home studio there in our practice space. And then we have our producer lives in Memphis, and he is doing all the mixes and stuff. And they sound like awesome as hell. Like if I know I'm a little biased, but he's sending us the mixes, and they're they're not mastered yet, but every time he sends us something, I'm like, ooh la la, daddy likey. And Chris keeps saying like, boy, you sure are good at polishing our turds, and I'm like, shut up, boy, shut up. But I've recorded a bunch of stuff in different. I guess I've been lucky enough to record in super awesome studios that are like, high tech shit, like you're all separated,
high dollar,
but all the way down to like through like different smaller studios, home studios, and down to like the nothing, right? And just like learning, and that's like through doing that, I've actually learned a lot of how to work sound and do and record, and so that's why I was able to record and engineer this whole last record just myself, with Chris's help, of course, if you're listening. But to have like the producer, who this guy Marshall, he knows us. We've played like with a couple of his bands before when we've gone through Tennessee. He's helped us get shows. He's a very good friend of ours, but he's super talented as well. And it's awesome to have like a fresh set of ears that's also familiar with your music, that just listens. He's got it totally after the fact. Like he wasn't there for recording or anything. And he's just like doing stuff where he's like, what if we just rearrange? He's like even doing some arrangement stuff where it's like, oh, that is better, dude. Like, and that's an awesome experience. Like he's an excellent producer. I'm like super stoked for this to come out. I don't have a date yet or anything like that. I'm imagining before this year is out, it'll be out as well. But it's
you got me stoked for that, man. I'm definitely gonna have to pick that up. I do have some vinyl in my house, so I'll definitely add to the collection for sure.
Oh yeah, we can get that record that's out now on vinyl now, but the new one, man, maybe I'll share you some mixes offline to listen to, get your opinion. But yeah, it's very exciting to have that come out and to hear the mixes. I don't know, just listening to them back, like you get a little more like this different kind of charge, or like, hell yeah, dude, it's just, because it's one thing to make the product and then, you know,
Well, I was
to
gonna
have the
say
actually, I don't know,
you.
you're actually, I'm like happy with, you're happy when it comes back. You're like, oh, hell yeah, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah, is it a case where you know what you heard when you made it, but when you get it back, you're like, oh wow, we really did that? Is it kind of like that?
no, not to that extent. No,
Right.
it's
Okay.
just like, it's here. I recorded all the parts, and I did rough mock mixes for him that were very much like, it should kind of sound like that, like this is like the thing, like whatever, and sent it
Yeah.
to him. So he basically just got all these pieces, and he knows the songs, but it's like he's able to be like, okay, let's actually double this part. Like, we played
Okay.
4 guitar parts throughout this, but we're not going to have all of those on all the time. And
Gotcha.
he's doing that. And then sometimes he's been like, what if we just end this song? Like, we don't need this tail part, or what if
Right.
this is moved over here?
So he basically gets the raw data and just refines it, and
Yeah,
then
he's
what
doing
he
it.
refined. Nice.
Yeah, and awesome. It's just what's coming out is so awesome. So we're very pleased.
Dude, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. So you talked about touring a little bit. Are you guys? Do you have any touring plans right now? Or are you going to tour some more in the near future? Is that something
Um,
that's going on?
Yeah, well, with like we were talking about earlier, I'm on the road all the time with horror conventions,
Yeah, I know.
and my schedule's pretty locked in with that. But we have been playing several shows, and we have several coming up. And I've been doing even some like solo stuff. I played the pre-opening fucking ceremony party at what was it? Bride of Frankencon, like a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I did I do things like that when I'm in town. Like in Chicago, I played at Reed's Local when I was there in November. I'll play there again in September and November. Um, Scarefest, looks like I'm going to be part of the programming, entertainers on Scarefest in Kentucky coming up. But those are just me. But
Right.
my drummer, because we're just a 2-piece band, everybody. Again,
Right.
Chris has been coming out to Vegas to join me on shows that I've booked out here recently. So he's flown out here like a couple of times now. And we've played, I live in downtown, so we've played some of the bars here
Right.
in downtown Las Vegas. We have a show booked in September here in Vegas. And then when I go to Houston for Houston Horror Fest in August, he and I will be playing a show there in Houston. So, we are definitely doing more shows, and I'm trying to do more like musical performances when I'm at the horror shows, just to kind of like, hey, the album's coming
I was going
out.
to segue into that. Yeah, because I think those are good crowds, and if you could get in with the convention folks to do performances at those events, that's a great place to do it there. You've got a built-in audience there, and they're generally great people. 99% of the people I meet at the horror conventions are awesome folks. So
Oh yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Couple we know, you and I know of that, fit that other 1%, but we don't have to talk about that.
yeah, I
But I
said
also like
99%.
I'll play songs at my booth and stuff too. I have the guitar back there.
Yeah,
Um, and so I'll rip a song out every once in a while there. But yeah, man, I've been picking up these, actual at the parties or part of the programming now. It's kind of like building, and we're just gonna get some get momentum because it's a new record, so we have to get it out there.
man, that's awesome. I'm in awe of you actually. All the things
Oh,
that you
come
can do.
on. I only
Nah,
do 3
serious.
things, dude. I only do 3 things.
There, you
Writing,
do them
art,
very
and music.
well.
That's it.
You do them very well. You do them very well. I do one thing okay. So that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Do,
So
are Okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna
No,
say,
no, go ahead.
do you play music as well, or just
I do
appreciate it?
not. I appreciate it. My dad's and my middle brother, they're the musicians of the family. My dad can play anything that has strings, and he plays the harmonica.
Oh yeah.
He's very good. He tries to sing, but but he can pick, and he
Nice.
can pick anything from a banjo to a ukulele. He even has this thing made out of a fucking shovel that he can play.
Oh,
I,
cool.
yeah, my story was similar to yours, except I was the one that quit. He bought me the guitar, tried to give me lessons, and I was like, "Fuck this! I don't want to do this." My brother did not quit, so
Yeah.
those two can play the string instruments. I just listen to them,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um,
but I
that's
have an
cool.
admiration for people who can do that, who have that ear, because I mean, yeah, you can learn it and it can be taught, but you have to have an affinity for it, and it has to be something, in my opinion, has to be something within you to catch on to something like that. And yeah, I admire you guys that can do that for sure. But do you play
Really?
anything outside of the guitar? I didn't ask that question. You play any
I
other
mean,
instruments?
I can play. I did play bass on the whole new record. On the whole new record, I played all of the bass parts on the new record.
Okay,
But like, I'm not gonna be like slapping the bass. Like I can see like what key is this song in, and I can I'll play bass for
right.
you. But I'm not a good bass player. I wouldn't say by any stretch of the imagination. I tried. I had a drum kit for a while, and I would bash around on it. But I wouldn't trust myself to play drums for you at all. I sometimes will get behind there to be like if I have an idea for a beat or something like or a fill or something, I can like do that. But
Knock it out. Yeah,
that's it. Like I'm not getting back there uh, doing that. I could pick around on keyboard too, but I'm much more comfortable with the old guitar, the six strings. Uh,
yeah.
that and doing a little picking and grinning and singing.
Singing. Well, what I like to do now is take an opportunity, and you're a great guest because you have a lot to share.
Mm.
But what I'd like to do is be quiet for a couple more minutes, let you tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can pick up your music, encapsulate it all. And then after that, if you would be willing to sing us a song to take the podcast to its end.
I would absolutely love to. So, like I said, if you're looking for me music wise, John Wayne is Dead is the name of my band. All one word, no spaces. We are on Spotify, pretty much every streaming service we're on. We have some like bonus stuff that's over on our Bandcamp that's not on, maybe not on Spotify, but we're out there. If you go to johnwayneisdead.com, that's like the portal gateway to everything that I do. My books, like We're the Cadillac Man, everything is on there to order. Of course, you can get my books also anywhere you get books from and stuff. But if you order them from me, I sign them. I send extra art and goodies, and I just appreciate any support. So you can get
And
that.
he gets more of the revenue. I can attest to
Hey,
that.
that is true,
Support
but
the guy.
I appreciate it.
Oh, I tell them straight out. I say, order from valleyboypublications.com, please.
Do it. Do it. I also do a podcast myself. John Wayne Lied to You comes out every Monday. And then I do on my Patreon, the Awesome Dude for Life Boner Bonus podcast. Got to get you on that, dude. We did you on there once, right? We had you on there.
No, you got to get me
No?
on.
Oh, I just did
No.
your. That's right. Okay, so we're gonna
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Charles on there, but that's where I talk to different artists like all over the country while I'm on the road that I meet, such as yourself, and we chat about art and what we do, and just have a good conversation. Let's see, that's it. That's all. It's all there. JohnWayneIsDead.com, and I have a show's page on there that'll show you all the cities that I'm in. I'm about to be like hardcore traveling for pretty much the rest of the year. So check me out. If I'm coming to your city, come see me. And also keep looking at it because I've been adding music things like we were talking about. The show that
Yeah.
just got booked in Vegas is on there. The Houston show isn't on there yet because I don't know what the venue is. So that'll go up there soon. And the Scarefest date will go up there, all that kind of stuff. So
Cool. I'll put links below in the podcast too, to your
ooh la
website and
la.
anywhere. Any links you send me, I'll stick down there. And before I let John play, I'll go ahead and let you know I'm Charles Campbell, small town horror author, valleyboypublications.com. You can find all my social media links on the website. We have a Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast Facebook page. I also have a Horror 421, the podcast Facebook page. And we also have a Horror 421, the podcast. So if you like horror and into that stuff, you can check me out over there. Without further ado, we're going to let John Wayne Comunale close out the podcast with one of his songs. Thank you so much, John.
Absolutely. Can you hear like a...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Let's see, are we good here?
Yep.
Okay, cool. This is a song that's going to be on the new record coming out. It's called Hopeless. I've got 21 more letters to send. By the time they're all delivered, I'll already be dead. And I know that's just what everyone expects me to say. So now that I have delivered, can I please just walk away? And you can call off the dogs you sick on me. I never could be with you, wanted me to be. And now it's hopeless, hopeless, you see. Cause you're hopelessly, hopelessly, hopeless without me. I know there may come a day when I'm all dried up and I've run out of things to say. But that day's not close, that day's so far away from now. 'Cause when I'm finally dead, my corpse will still be goddamn loud. And you can call off the dog you sick on me. I never could be with you, wanted me to be. And now it's hopeless, hopeless, you see. 'Cause you're hopelessly, hopelessly, hopeless without. I know I can tend to be overly fatalistic in an unhealthy way, but it's all I think about all goddamn day, night. When I'm finally gone, I sure ain't headed for the light. And you can call off the dog you sick on me. I never could be with you, wanted me to be. And now it's hopeless, hopeless, you see. 'Cause you're hopelessly, hopelessly, hopeless without me.
Wow. Ow! Nice.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice. I can't do any better, man. You guys have a good one. Thank you for joining Backstage 421, the podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Ow!
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Listener support links can be found below. Thank you for your support.